Okay, we're rolling.
All right, let's do this. So welcome everybody to the Mastermind. And what we're going to do is we're just going to review the other principles that we reviewed so far. And then today we're going to cover cause and effect, the principle of cause and effect, and the principle of gender. And so we'll finally have the whole recipe to creating our reality, as all these, principles, they intertwine and they all work together, not separate. So the first one that we reviewed on week 1 was the principle of mentalism. And the principle of mentalism states that before anything can come into the material manifestation, we must think of it. The all is mind. The universe is mental. And this principle embodies the truth that all is mind. So this principle asks, how does a man create? Well, he creates mentally. The all creates the universe mentally in a manner akin to the process whereby man creates mental images to the all can create in no other way except mentally. There is no escape from this conclusion. So always keep that in mind. There's no escape from this conclusion. Then we dived into the principle of correspondence, and that one stated that as above, so below, and as below, so above. So this principle embodies the truth that there is always a correspondence between the laws and phenomena of the various planes of being of life. Then we went into the principle of vibration, and this one stated that nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. And this principle embodies the truth that everything is in motion, everything vibrates, nothing is at rest. Facts which modern science endorses and which each new scientific discovery tends to verify. Then we dived into the principle of polarity, and this one said that everything is dual, everything has poles, everything has its pair of opposites. Like and unlike are the same. Opposites are identical in nature, but different in degrees. Extremes meet. It explains that everything there are two poles or opposite aspects, and the opposites are really only two extremes of the same thing, with many varying degrees in between them. Then we dived into the principle of rhythm, and this one stated that everything flows out and in, everything has its tides, all things rise and fall. The pendulum swing manifests in everything. The measure of the swing to the right is equal to the measure to the left. The rhythm compensates. This principle embodies the truth that everything there is manifested is a measured motion, to and fro, flow and inflow, a swing backward and forward, a pendulum-like movement, a tide like ebb and flow, a high tide and a low tide. And now we're going to dive into the principle of cause and effect. And this principle states that every cause has its effect, every effect has its cause. Everything happens according to law. Chance is but a name for law not recognized. There are many planes of causation, but nothing escapes the law. It explains that everything happens according to law, that nothing has ever merely happened. There is no such thing as chance, only law unseen. So by law, you create what you envision, and by law, you cause the things you think about by causation. By the law of cause and effect and the fact that there is no chance, you cause the things you think about to be created by following and employing the creative method of thought and action. So you might ask yourself, what am I causing and what are the effects? So you stop and you think, and every thought you think, every act you perform has its direct and indirect result, which fits into the great chain of cause and effect. So for example, if you don't write a book, if you don't do your workout, if you don't meditate, if you don't stay in the study, what will be the effect of these actions? So these are things to think about. Desire is the impelling force of causation. Every cause has its effect and every effect has its cause. Everything happens according to law. There is no such thing as chance. Chance is just a term that we use for law that is not understood. So basically, when people say, oh, I'm so lucky, this was by luck or this was by chance. No, there is no such thing as chance, because everything is caused by your thoughts. So you brought it on. Everything that happens that you think is by luck is actually by thought. And everything comes from its original source. We come from the original source. And what is the one in principle of mentalism? It's the all in all. I am in all. So the all is in me. So it comes again to vibration. Nothing happens by chance. So this basically this Hermetic principle teaches you that you can become the causer rather than the subject of the effects, which eliminates the victim mentality. So that's pretty cool, right? Because now you understand that you no longer have to be subject to the effects that are coming, and you understand that you yourself are causing all the effects in your life. And you're saying, well, Pazit, am I causing the arguments? Am I causing the accidents? Am I causing the lack? And the truth is that the thoughts that you think are causing it. Okay. And what you're living is the effects of it. So now you might ask, how can we play the game of life, okay, and become the causer rather than be the subject of it? So the first thing you must do to play the game of life successfully, you must become aware. You must become aware that you will have an effect no matter what you do. So you have to think of, what are you thinking? The second thing is that you can start by setting up boundaries. You can stop being carried along by events and people. So if there's things that you don't agree with, or things that you feel don't, go against to your truth or against your intuition, you can set up boundaries. Okay. The third thing you can do is you get to choose. You get to choose that you will not be at the mercy of the cause anymore, and then things will turn around. So here what it means is that more often we find ourselves at the mercy of our beliefs, other people's beliefs causing effects on us, society, political, religion, economics, family, that has an effect on us. So think about how it's affecting you. So think, like, for example, if ever you have like a family member, right, that you're not getting along with, but you're allowing them to change your mood, right? So you have to remember that you get to choose. You get to choose whether they get to change your mood or not, right? So you have the power. That's your power, right? And then the fourth step is you have to become the observer. So you have to become the observer of the effects you have on others and the effects others don't have on you. And how do you do that? You do that by paying attention so you can change your behavior and break the karma. So you could see, when you're kindness, how you get kindness back. You could see that when you react in a harsh way, how something harsh happens in your life. So what happens is you start being an observer and you start connecting the dots between what you're putting out into the world, between how you're thinking, how you're acting, what you're saying, and how it all comes back to you. Like, for example, if you might talk about somebody, it's going to come back to you. One day somebody will talk about you. So you start seeing like, oh shit, like you start thinking more consciously. You think, well, if I don't want this to be done to me, I better start saying like better things, wishing people well, and thinking differently, right?
I just want to interrupt just for a sec, because if you go by what you had just said, reminded me of the golden rule that our parents teach us, right? Do unto others. Like, that's where it comes from. It comes from the law from the Bible, which comes from the teachings of these laws. It's not identified in the Bible as a law. It's a principle of life. And we hear it a billion times in our lifetime, but it is in fact this one principle of cause and effect. Do unto others as you wish they to be done to you, because guaranteed whatever you do will come back and bite you. So best be doing it the way you want it received by yourself, right? Sorry, that's just, thought came in.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you do it consciously, because you remember that if you're mad at someone, or you're, especially when we're upset, right? This is where you get to practice. You have to remember that every time like there's something challenging in your life, it's really an opportunity. It's not a challenge. See it as an opportunity for you to apply these laws and become a master creator. This is what a master creator is. It means that you're not swung by what's going on. You're not subject to the circumstances. That's victim mentality. This is what we were taught. This is how we grew up. Our parents would punish us. We would feel remorse, right? We would react to them, as opposed to say, well, I can use this time and like be creative. And, I don't know, like, you can always, you always have the possibility to use that time to be more creative, as opposed to wish somebody not well, or something like that, or how you react to certain situations. Maybe you're at the store and somebody's like, not, maybe the cashier is like not nice to you, you're all kind, you're happy, you're like, oh, thank you. And she's like, whatever, she's giving you attitude, and you're all of a sudden her attitude changes your attitude. Fuck no. Her attitude does not have to change your attitude. You get to choose and say, okay, we don't know what's going on in her life, so I'll still be kind to her. She obviously needs kindness right now more than attitude reflect
and
it back.
And we have the power to change another. So the power of increase, the, the principle of always leaving people with the impression of increase. Like, if that's an amazing opportunity, if a cashier reacts or responds or just gives you that kind of response, that is, take that pause, mind the gap, take that pause, that moment, change your perspective, and say, now what if I gave her what she clearly needs to have right now, because she's showing me that it's what she needs. How would I change her day by giving her kindness, and then her going home and going, you know, I was in such a shitty mood today, and this one customer I had totally changed my day. Like, be that person.
Exactly. You don't need to, you know, react to her like she's harsh, so you respond harshly, right? So these are fun things. And then the fifth thing is to always remember that we do not live in a chaotic universe. We live in an extremely orderly universe. And so that's basically the you know, the principle of cause and effect according to the Hermetic. So you can use these 5 things to practice it, and all the examples that we gave. And the next principle is the principle of gender. So Carolyn, I'm going to let you take that one and take it from here.
So I think the principle of gender, I was saying to Pazit as we study these, and as we're always talking about these laws and whatnot, and then when things come up in our life, we kind of get in touch and go, this was this showing up, and now I understand it better. You know, when you think of the law, you think of gender just as the terminology that we have. Okay, man, woman, male, female, which is exactly what that is, male, female, and you know, we can procreate a child together. That's what, you know, the energy of the male and the female. That's what we're most familiar with when we talk about the law of gender. But the law of gender exists, the principle of gender, it exists on the physical plane like that, male and female, but it exists on the mental plane. And that's probably the one law, as I studied them over the last, I don't know how many years, going back to studying Napoleon Hill and Maxwell Maltz and Wallace Wattles, and how all these laws show up in the more like the 19th century literature. That's the one that I probably learned most about, that I wasn't maybe familiar with. You know, cause and effect, yeah, we know about that, you know, the law of vibration, law of attraction. So I'm going to split this up into the physical and the mental. So just to see like what you're familiar with and what you might not be familiar with, which I wasn't, more on the mental plane. So the word gender is derived from the Latin word to beget, to procreate, to generate, to produce. Right? The physical distinctions are between the male and the female living thing. So yeah, we think about male and female, co-create, procreate, child is born, we have created something together. The office of gender is solely that of creating, producing, generating. Its manifestations are visible on every plane of phenomena, means the physical and the mental plane. It's somewhat difficult to produce proofs of this along scientific lines, for the reason that science has not yet as recognized this principle as of universal application. Now, don't forget, when this text was written, it was very different. They hadn't recognized how this shows up in other forms of our life yet. So the masculine principle of gender is in the teachings associated with the positive, and the female with the negative pole. Right? So the other side of the pole, which as we know now with polarity, you know, there is really no positive, negative, but the way they describe it in the teachings is the masculine is the male, the feminine is the negative, the female, but they say the terms positive and negative are very wrongly applied to this phenomenon by science. The word positive means something real and strong as compared with negative, meaning weakness or unreality. Nothing is further from the real facts of electrical phenomena. The so-called negative pole of the battery is really the pole in and by which the generation or production of new forms of energies are manifested. So when we talk about the masculine and feminine in terms of the law of gender, we want to think more of the positive and negatives of the me and the I am, and the male is the one who generates the ideas and the female is the one who receives. Okay, so the part of the masculine principle is to be directing certain inherited energies towards the feminine principle. So we don't call it negative and positive anymore. We just talk about masculine and feminine, and thus starting the activity of the creative process. But the feminine principle is the one always doing the active creative work. Okay, and this is so on all planes. So each principle is incapable of its operative energy without the other. So when you have procreation, right, you need both parts of the equation to create what a child comes to create. So when that's kind of on the physical plane, that, you know, what you understand with your logical mind about male, masculine and feminine. So when we get into the mental energy of gender, we're really talking about the duality of the mind. So we take it from the physical plane to the mental plane. When we think of the male, the masculine is the conscious mind, and the feminine is the subconscious mind. So the masculine mind is thinking of the ideas. The female mind is receiving the ideas and putting them into action. You can't have one without the other. You need both. So students of psychology who have followed the modern trend of thought along the lines of mental phenomenon are struck by the persistence of the dual mind. Right? Conscious and subconscious, the voluntary and involuntary minds, the active and the passive, the duality of the mind. And the masculine principle of the mind corresponds to the so-called objective mind, the conscious mind, the voluntary mind, the active mind. The feminine principle of mind corresponds to the subjective mind, the subconscious mind, the involuntary mind, the passive mind. And the way I learned to think of it is I studied a lot of Neville Goddard, and he talks about how to prepare for sleep, because it's the female subconscious mind that's wide open to idea when you are sleeping, when your conscious mind, the masculine mind, is at rest. The female mind is just waiting there, waiting to be told exactly what do you want me to put into action. So before you go to bed, you use your masculine mind, your conscious mind, to imagine the vision of what you want, and then you just power that over to the subconscious mind, which is your feminine mind, to make it manifest in your sleep. So to me, it's just the awareness of, like, there are two parts, but really they're one, right? So when we get into Hermetic teaching, they go into the difference between our dual aspects. Like, people think that our self and the I am are one. You know, I am my hand, I am my hair, I am these physical aspects, and then they separate feelings and all of these things from themselves, but really it's just the masculine and feminine parts of each one of us that are operating as dual components, but in conjunction with one another. Does that make sense? Because some of the teachings on this is like, it gets a little on the heavy side. So really, we tend to think of myself and I am as separated and split, and we're really not. We're just one. We're one person with kind of two energies. So
it's just a perception. I was just going to say, it's just a perception, you know. It's like we see each person as an individual, separate. But the truth is, we all come from one source, so we're all the same. We all come from spirit, you know. So it's like again, it goes back to the analogy of the drop. Like, individually, we each look like a drop, but at the end of the day, when you see us like in the ocean, we're all part of the same ocean.
Yeah, so when they talk about masculine and feminine with the self, the teachings teach us that the I am is the masculine part of ourselves, and the me is the creator. Okay, so on the scale of consciousness, someone is able to detangle their me from their idea of their body, and they're able to think of your body as you belonging to the mental part of you, right? So every aspect, a person, he here, is very apt to consider these internal states as identical with himself. In other words, when we get into that emotional state, we tend to say, I am anxious, I am, I'm in a really bad frame of mind, or I am having a bad day, when really that's not what's happening at all. Right? You've now identified your I am with a piece of yourself that's just incorrect. You are perceiving the circumstances in your life in a negative versus a positive. And like Bazit said earlier, with cause and effect, which, they're just so elegantly entwined, all of these laws. You have the power of changing that. So instead of identifying with your feeling, it's only a result of a cause you've created. So you aren't depressed, in fact. Right? You have feelings that feel that way based on your perception and the will that you've used in your mind. So the masculine side is the will, and the feminine side is the receiving. So you get to choose your mind, how it thinks, the thoughts you use. And you will then have the feelings that correspond with that mental imagery that you give yourself. So the masculine mind and the feminine mind can't operate independent of one another. They depend on one another. So your job as the creator, the masculine side of you, is to create the thoughts, and the feminine side receives them and interprets them into feelings. But the masculine side gets to decide, right? Right, exactly.
Yeah, your feminine side gives birth to them. Gives birth to your ideas. You know,
and doesn't that make perfect sense, right? So it says here, the student finds themselves in conscious possession of the self, which may be considered in its I or me dual aspects, right? The me will be felt in as something mental in which thoughts, ideas, emotions, feelings, and other mental states may be produced. And then it may be considered as the mental womb, right? Capable of generating mental offspring.
That's right.
Right? So the me is the latent powers of creation. So you generate the mental offspring of your thoughts. So when you think of gender, like, think of it less of, okay, you know, a man and a woman. Think of it, your own self, and how that works within, you know, your day-to-day life. Okay.
Can I just add something here? Just something that I've been working on to apply it. I've never heard it term masculine and feminine. I kind of struggle with that just a little bit, but the idea of your conscious and your subconscious, and we do a lot of this study in marketing, and it's something like 95 of the decisions that you make, 95% is your feminine mind, because it's the accumulation of everything you know in your life, your instinct, your experience,
your intuition, it's all in there.
Your emotional, you buy emotionally.
Is your masculine, your rational mind.
That's right.
Only 5% of decisions we make in a day are new decisions. Most of them are decisions that are part of our routine, part of our experience, part of what we know works for us.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
That's exactly it. And your subconscious mind, or your feminine mind, or however you want to identify it, that is associated with your beliefs. So you can see how, you know, your conscious mind may very much want to release weight from your body, but your subconscious mind, your feminine mind, is operating on its own programming, and it's operating based on its beliefs and how it feels about all these things. So you could want it all you want, but unless you change the programming of your feminine subconscious mind and start telling it what reality is, because your subconscious mind does not know the difference between what's real and real. It responds, the feminine energy responds to what you have told it. So that's the power of repetition. That's the power of affirmations, for example. Because when you write an affirmation over and over again, you're training your subconscious mind to see the reality the way you picture it to be. So it will, over time, respond to it and believe you. So then your conscious mind now operates at a different level. It's able to do things only because us master feminine women people, we're the creators. So we get to say, change the program, let's go, let's release the weight. So there's so much power in your subconscious mind, right? And you're right, your conscious mind does not make the decisions. It's your programming, your paradigms. They make the decisions for you. So I'm just going to finish off here. I think there was one paragraph that was good here that I liked.
That's why we also study the KYBALION, because the KYBALION, basically, it allows you to, I mean, the Hermetics, what they've done is they've mastered these principles. And because they've mastered these principles, they were able to, you know, create the reality according to the way they want. You know, that is the master key, is to master your minds. Because everything does start with the all, which is the thought, right? So the thought transforms into your physical. So whatever you think up here, whatever you picture up here, will show up as the effect in your life, as the result, as the out picture. You know, this is like the negative, and the outside is the positive in terms of, if you think of it like film, you know, this is the printout.
And that's why people have the same results over and over and over and over again. And they wonder, oh, I have such bad luck. You know, I keep finding this happen. This keeps showing up. Why am I having such bad luck? Take a look at what you're thinking.
Well, because you're thinking you have bad luck, you know, and it goes deeper, because it's so funny, as we work with so many clients, you could see, and they're like, sometimes they don't see it because they're so into their program is so natural for them that they don't see it. But as, you know, an outsider, it's like we pick it up right away, and we're like, yeah, and like, oh my God, I can't believe I just said that, or I did that, or oh my God, yeah, you know. And so you become you that's why awareness is so big, to have the awareness to know that, oh my God, I am the one who's creating this repetitively.
Yeah, so just here in the book, just the way that it's worded here, the masculine principle of the person giving the suggestion, the conscious mind, right, directs a stream of vibrational energy or willpower, because the will is one of your, one of your powerful senses, your will and your perception and your ideas, your imagination. So it directs a stream of vibrational energy or willpower toward the feminine principle of the other person, and the latter accepts it and makes it its own and acts and thinks accordingly. So you can have the so the masculine energy is giving the idea, and the feminine is the receiver and the one who actually inspires a person to take action. The masculine energy does not do the action taking. They are the giver of the ideas. The feminine one is the receiver and the action taker. So actually the feminine energy, the feminine polarity is the one who actually achieves. Okay. And
yeah, Wendy put in this really cool thing in the chat box. I should say, but basically it goes back to what you're saying, Carolyn, and to the law of gender. It's true. Like the man will give you the sperm, but the woman will give you the baby, Yeah. So that's a really good analogy,
Yeah,
give her a house and she'll give you a home. So, so you can think of the law of gender pretty much like, I love the idea of the sperm and the baby, So this is what you're doing within you.
So what I always found so fascinating is like we understand that principle on the conscious level because we're accustomed to it. We're accustomed to hearing that, okay, the gender, what's the gender of your child, a male, or do you have a girl, do you have a boy? That's we think of the term gender in that way, but actually when you apply it to creating the life as you picture it to be, it's really fascinating stuff, because you realize that these laws are not only in play, like, in the cause and effect of things and the vibration and the showing up of things, but right from the very deepest part of creating, period, right back to the principle of birth, you have all of it within your one self. You have the power to create whatever you want, and I think that once you really grasp that and you get out of your own way. You realize how you've been kind of standing in your way and seeing yourself from the outside in. So in other words, my circumstance is this, and then you respond or you react to the circumstance instead of flipping that around, observing the circumstance and going, oh, I know what I can do to change this. I don't like this showing up. I'm going to think this, and let's play. Let's see what happens when I perpetually think about this. It's by law, it happens for every person every time. Your circumstance will change according to your thoughts. Period. It's just it's not easy to grasp, but it is that simple, and that's what
it's a mental universe.
Magic.
The universe.
It's magic.
That's right. The universe is in your mind. It's not outside of you. We were taught to think that the universe is outside of us. It's something we look at. It's not. That's the fucking paradox. The paradox is that the universe is in your mind. Seek the kingdom of God. The kingdom of God is within you. Everybody goes, it's within you. All the gifts that you have are within you. So what are the gifts that God gave you? First of all, obviously, the gift of thought, to think. The only thing that makes us different from any other species on earth is that we have the ability to create. We have the ability to create because we have the ability to think and to transform ourselves, to transmute ourselves into whatever we think. So we can think ourselves as poor. We can think of ourselves as wealthy. We can think ourselves as a winner. We can think ourselves as a loser. We get to choose the seed. The seed, we get to choose the sperm, if you want, since we're on the law of gender. You get to choose the sperm that you want, and you will give birth to that. So if you're choosing the sperm of poverty, you will give birth to poverty. You choose the sperm of problems, you will give birth to problems. So I hope that, this really puts things in perspective in a very visual way. So now that you know this, and now you understand all these laws, you start applying them. You're like, okay, wait a minute. If everything comes from the all, it means that everything comes from thoughts. What am I thinking? You look at the effects. You just look at the effects as feedback. It's the feedback, okay? Yeah. You don't need to stay there. You don't need to stay there. You have to understand that, yes, as a child, You did not have a choice, meaning, you were born into a certain family. They put thoughts into your mind. The thoughts that they put, you didn't have the capacity at 1 year old or 2 year old to reject or accept these thoughts. So the only thing you did was accept. But today, as an adult and with your knowledge,
with awareness and a knowledge,
you can reject. You can reject the thoughts that no longer serve you. You reject them. And the only way that you know what you're thinking is because your outside world is reflecting what's inside of you. So if you don't like a certain situation in your life, if you don't like the way your relationships are going, if you don't like your bank account, if you don't like, different aspects, if you don't like your health situation, you have the power by thought to change everything around. Now, isn't that fucking powerful? That's so powerful. And then you start seeing, the best part is when you start thinking and you start seeing the cause and effect of your thoughts, and now you're aware, you're like, oh my God, if I could do this for that, what else can I apply this to? And what else can I apply this to?
You can apply it to everything. Yeah. That's how it all transforms. And I think
it all transforms. You transmute.
I think out there in the information that we often get exposed to, in the disbelief of any of these laws, and most people who disbelieve them just don't understand them. It's just ignorance. That's it. It's very simple. It's not that they're not anything or are something. They just don't have the awareness. But what a lot of people think about is, okay, well, I don't know how I'm going to do that. And the law of attraction, the way, kind of like the colloquial way people talk about it, is like, oh, I want more money in my bank account. Therefore, the genie in the lamp, snap my fingers, and I'm going to win the lottery. That's not what this is about. This is about creation. So if, for example, you take a look at your bank balance and you don't, it's not something that pleases you. Okay, it's not good or bad. It's neither. It is what it is. And you go, wouldn't it be nice? I love that I have $100,000 coming into my bank account every month. I love that. I love how that feels. My life, I can't wait to do this and I can't wait to do that. And you picture it as if it's already here. So you're experiencing the outcome, the effect in your future as your present. Okay. When you do that, you activate, the cause. So what happens then is, no, the 100, well, maybe it will. Maybe you will win the lottery. I don't know. That could be the way the universe delivers it. You don't know how it's going to get delivered to you, but I can guarantee you one thing that will happen. The universe in all of its splendor is going to start delivering to you ways for that effect to be as real as you've pictured it to be. So it means on your next conversation, random lunch with a friend, somebody's going to say, this person could really use your services. If the effect is a bigger bank account balance, then the universe gets so excited to bring that to you because you're here to create and to prosper and to be very, very live in love and joy. The universe isn't here to punish you for anything. It wants to help you get to where you want to go. You just got to decide where that place is. So let's say it's 100,000 in your bank account. Next month by, in the next 3 months or 1 month or one day, I don't know, the universe will turn around and put people in your path to help you with the opportunity that will create another maybe opportunity that will maybe link to something else and another person and an event and something you're supposed to do. Now, your work is to say yes. Your work is to take the opportunity and take action. Because the universe responds to inspired action. It will not keep providing you with opportunities if every time it does so, you go, oh no, I'm too tired. Oh no, I don't know how to do that. Oh no, I don't feel like doing that. You've asked, it is given, but your work is in the action taking. And that means getting out of your comfort zone. That means doing things that are uncomfortable. That means trying things you've never tried before to get things you've never had before. So our work then is being aware at all times of how the universe is magically delivering opportunity for us to get exactly what we asked for, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And allowing. You must allow it.
And allowing it, right?
You must allow it to happen. You must allow it, It's like to conceive a baby, you must allow the sperm. You must allow the sperm to come in. So you must allow it.
So you're preparing for it. You're preparing to receive what you asked for. Okay, exactly. That's present in your life all the time. So when we live in a magical place, and when you decide that your life is magical, your life will be magical. It has no choice but to be. Your work is to be always in that really great place of allowing and receiving the magic to just land. And then you find yourself in this place of awe, like opportunities, like one that just popped into my circumstance 2 days ago from the theater. And then boom, big opportunity just shows up. And I always call Pazit because we just share these things back and forth. And I go, I created this. And you did.
Yeah. And you live in the magic. And and another thing I really wanted to just say before we open the tables is you must live from your vision. And a lot of people have a very hard time. I know that with the clients that I work, okay, a lot of them have a very hard time because they're like, Pazit, I feel like so fake, like telling people like I own this and I do that. No, it's because it is you. It's just it's catching up to you. It's catching up to you. Okay. It's catching up to you. It is the reality you're creating. I used to say to people, I live in Miami, and when I was in Montreal for years, I used to never wear a winter coat because the people would be like, oh, I'm from Miami. I'm from Miami. And you know what, today I get to say, I'm from Miami. I'm from Miami. But first is I would play the idea when I was in Montreal. I would always feel like I'm in Miami. I would turn the heater up in winter, like the hottest in the car. My house was always so hot. Everybody would be like, oh my God, it's so hot in your house. I said, I know, should we turn on the AC? Because I would play the game. I would play the game, and you got to play the game, and you do that. And I've done it for everything. When I wanted relationships in my life, I would play the game. I would play with my partner, just like when you're a kid, you play the game. And
play
so a lot of my clients are like,
make believe. You use the power of your imagination. It's like phenomenal.
Yeah, because it makes you feel, when you had your imaginary friend as a kid, or things that you made up as a child, you're up to 6-7 years old, until reality like friggin' hit you in the face. You were playing, you had your tea parties, your dolls were your friends. They're like, oh, what do you want? And you gave them personalities. And that's exactly what we're doing, is we're giving ourselves a personality. So we could say, okay, well, I played the peasant for many years. I played the housewife that is not treated well. And that was great. I get a nice Oscar for that. But now I'm going to play the housewife.
Different role.
That is treated really well, okay, that gets things done, that she has like that kind of, she has that husband, that loving husband, and you get to create it. And so if you don't have it in your reality, you can create it. You could talk to yourself like you're in that loving relationship already, and you'll see that the person that you're with, whether you're in a relationship or not, will start matching the reality that you're creating. So don't you be, this is fake, this is not me, I don't live on the island. Yeah, well, I lived in Miami before I lived in Miami.
Totally.
This is the work of a creator. You create the vision first, and then you let it catch up to you.
I
and
created
you live
an international business before my business was international.
That's right. When we did Carolyn's vision portrait, at the studio, she was already Carolyn International. We had talked about her giving talks and seminars all over the world. That's before it happened. Today, you guys are seeing the Carolyn that she created. I believe it was like what, a year and a half or 2 years ago?
Yeah.
A year and a half ago that we created in my studio, that we, today she is living that life, and we spoke that life into existence. You speak your life into existence. Okay.
Yeah.
And you do that by vision.
You do that by vision.
You do that by vision. By seeing yourself as that person.
When you talk about, acting as if, right? Joe Dispenza says your personality creates your personal reality.
It's so true.
If you think of it that way, how I behave, the personality I'm choosing to be, in other words, whoever that is, Carolyn Flower, who teaches students all over the world, that's my personality. Okay, well, somebody with that personality, what do they have to do? Are they going to be able to have a resistance to traveling by all sorts of transportation all over the world? Any type of little fear that you've ever had is going to start coming up. And you have a choice to make. And I remember Pazit, I made the conscious choice. I was sitting on a plane one day, and it was not something I, chose as now I've created an enjoyment. I've created a game around flying, because as I was flying, I call it my window seat at 40,000 feet. So I created this game for myself, and I could picture clients from up there. And now I look forward to being there, because I know how magical it is there. So I've changed my perception about that, but I did it purposefully, because my personality had to change to be the person I knew I was becoming. So if I'm going to be international, I'm going to be speaking, which is what I'm doing right now, what I am doing in the next 6 months, everything I talked about. I better be loving getting on a plane every single time. So I had to change and do things that were uncomfortable because I knew
but I was also going to mention Carolyn was beautiful, but Carolyn is like, Carolyn, we labeled her as Carolyn International. That was, that was her vision. Was beautiful. Carolyn, yeah, but if most of you don't know, Carolyn didn't like to fly. She didn't like to fly, but Carolyn International, she has to fucking fly because she's international now. She has to go like all these events all over the world. And now she has developed her persona. I just want to point out so people can connect the dots, is that now she's developed a persona that is very comfortable with traveling. You understand how the personality creates your personal reality. So the old Carolyn would not feel comfortable on a plane, but the Carolyn International, she fucking owns the plane. She takes pictures from the planes and she shows all of us, the magic of being in the skies.
Yeah.
So Carolyn, just because it's 7:45, I think we should definitely open up the table. So if people want to use the mastermind, all of you, we this is going to be obviously this is the wrap of the KYBALION. Now you have like all the 7 Hermetic principles. You have everything you need in terms of start connecting the dots, between your what's happening in your life and, how you play a big role and how you've played a big role up to now and how you get to choose from this moment forward, how you're going to move on. We'd like to hear your thoughts on how you feel these laws can be applied to your life or how you could see certain circumstances. I see in the chat, Gabriella, I'll start with you because I saw that in the chat. You're saying, are my home renovations not finished because I'm thinking they will never get done? Well, fuck yeah. Absolutely. These are the kind of thoughts. So yeah, when you think, oh, it'll never get done, that's what you get. You get a house that never gets done. you know, or my husband, sometimes we could speak over relationships. My husband is never, he never gifts me. He never gifts me. Well, he never gifts you. Even if it's true for now that he doesn't, because you have to remember that you created that reality. You could start saying, you could start saying from now on, oh my God, I love the way my house looks after the renovation. It's so cool. You can already picture it as you're walking through the room. Sometimes I was staying, when I first came to Florida, I was staying in an apartment. It wasn't an apartment up to my standards, And I used to pretend the apartment was up to my standards, the condo that I'm living. And now I live in a house that's up to my standards, you see? But while I was in that other space, I was living like I was in this space, And from this space, I'm already living like I'm on my next space, So you always kind of like living a little bit ahead of time. So guys, please share with us your week, your experience, how you've used all these different laws, cause and effect, mental gender, and all these different principles. So Gabriella, why don't we start with you since we had you in the chat.
Oh my gosh. I literally this morning walking down the stairs that are waiting to be finished,
They're already done.
That's it. I really literally just saw them all finished and everything. And the cause and effect just like came into effect in my mind. So yeah, I am seeing it. I just have a chuckle of it. Cause I appreciate today's talk, especially because it really helps to put everything into perspective. Like I know for the most part, I do good. I speak well, but I didn't realize how much my thoughts really were the feedback of my life. Like, I have this dual but dual things. Like there's some things that are really great and there are other things that are mediocre. So now I get it that I've created that, and I'm appreciative of these classes because it's going to change my life. It has changed my life. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You got it. And Gabriella, do you feel like you're thinking differently? I'm just curious, like honestly.
Honestly, I am. Like since the other morning, I don't know, it kind of like clicked. I was like, okay, this is it. I need to be consistent with what I really want to do, which is take time to meditate, take time to look at my cards, my intention cards, to do a few minutes of yoga, whether it's 15, 30, 40, whatever it is. And I've been consistently doing it. I've been able to mentally look at all the things that I want done. And it's just physically changing how I feel. And that's all of what it's about, is that vibration. And I just want to stay there. So yeah, I do feel a difference.
Amazing.
That's great. Fantastic.
Anybody else would like to share how they feel they're applying these laws, or they see these laws in play on the playground of life?
I know we're going to be using them for Wendy's benefit.
Yeah, what I like about the laws this morning is Carolyn happens to be living at my house, right? She's in the other floor. Before we got on the call, I was like ragging on about the bloody neighbor. I'm this really sort of difficult neighbor, and so it's the laws also are great as precautionary measures, aren't they? Which is like they can be real guardrails to say, whoa, I'm swaying into that. So it's not just about sort of, here's my big dream. And I have lots of big dreams, and I've sort of put them out there this week. And but also kind of as guardrails to kind of know when you're like, oh, like time to kind of get
off-road, going off-road.
To be very, very careful that somebody else's behavior doesn't affect your state of mind for more than 10 minutes. Like, you can give yourself 10 minutes because you can't just ignore everything. I give myself 10 minutes, then I go back on track. So,
but I like that.
So it's good. That was the first one.
I like that too, how you were saying, Wendy, like the thought of a difficult neighbor. Well, what do you get? A difficult neighbor.
It's like what comes first, the chicken or the egg, who the difficult neighbor may have been there, but then how difficult that identity is that you give them very much is dependent on this identity you've given them.
You get to live that reality, right?
Yeah.
You get to live that reality. The thought is a difficult neighbor, so the reality is a difficult neighbor. So if you think differently of that neighbor, you will see your neighbor differently, right? When you change the way
you're moving anyway.
Possibly.
So.
Yeah. I think it actually, in the case of my neighbor, it's the other way around. It's the issues between us are so built in his head, we just ignore him. But it is guardrails to say this person can drag us into his issues. Well, we just choose just to say that's just a person who lives on the other side. But how, you have to kind of sort of exercise these principles. And then I really love the whole framing of feminine and masculine. Caroline, I had a really interesting conversation this week, and I was just about the magic of my mother. We all have good and bad with our parents, and kind of looking at my mother, she's so amazingly healthy, mind, body, spirit, all of it, right? And she's like 86 and still doing yoga and driving everybody else to their doctor's appointments, and shoveling snow in Montreal in her Lexus. But she has this amazing quality, which is, and I called it, what do we call it? Ready to receive. She's from the top, she's always ready to receive everything. Like she gets up in the morning, she gets ready, she gets her house ready, she gets her mind ready, she gets everything always ready. But every single day of her life, she's been actually sort of ready to be this feminine space, isn't it? Where it doesn't matter what comes across her path, it's never, I don't have time, I'm not ready, the house is a mess, I'm a mess. She's always ready. So kind of that's how I'm framing that. It's kind of, I've seen that wisdom in my own family and how it actually has served her through the decades, and but where I see her deficit, and it's something to be very mindful as I kind of go through the decades myself, is she doesn't deploy her masculine energy very well, because I think that's a generational thing. The energy that says, I am actually going to sort of be a player in my own script. She's always on that receive end, right? She's always waiting for somebody else to sort of set the tone, set the, what do they need today?
So it shows that
it really is kind of
need to work together, right? One can't really exist without the other in a full life way.
Yeah. So our generation was very much taught, your destiny is yours, go for it. And I fell in this trap as I kind of was going through. I had all masculine energy out there, just driving, and kind of let the feminine side really, really fall to the side for all through my 30s. It was the only when I became a mother, I went, oh my God, I need to do something. I need to learn how to receive. I'm just about tackling. So yeah, the two things. And when you apply the masculine and feminine to the very sort of conscious and subconscious mind, you can see the many, many depths and dimensions and how that can serve you.
How beautiful is that?
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. So good. Absolutely. So many good examples, you know?
Yeah. And everyone is interpreting it in
Would there anybody else would like to share?
Life. So it's that's what's so beautiful.
Absolutely. And that's it. And we are, you know, we were subject. I love what Wendy said too, is that, you know, we are subject, you know, to, you know, family beliefs, social beliefs, you know, generational beliefs. So that's why sometimes we don't realize how much we are at the subject of the effect rather than the causer of the effect, you know. So all that must be broken, you know, all those, you know, generational thinking, societal, governmental, political, economical, all these walls have to be like torn down, and you start
we have to
building
ask
again.
ourselves sometimes, like questioning our
what do I believe what I believe, you know?
And do I really believe, like, why do I believe this? Actually, I don't believe this at all. This is just part of my upbringing. This is something that was said to me over and over. As a matter of fact, I don't even subscribe to that. I reject that belief. That's no longer my belief. Right. This is my belief. And then when you choose something that is in alignment with who you are, you can feel immediately, you kind of ease into that place of, oh my God, yeah, this is me. That's really right. Wasn't me. And I think that's what we call the awakening, you know, when each of us at our own time in our own life come to the realization that I get to do things the way that I picture and that I want. And then things really start to happen. That's fasten your seatbelt time, right? Because if you're prepared and ready.
Sorry, I was going to say that's the whole principle of the Hermetic principle, is that you are not a friggin' ping pong. You're not a yo-yo. You know, you get to make a choice where you want to go and how you want to create it. And so that is your highest power. And, you know, what's most people have not been taught or have not taken the time to study, you know, themselves. You know, and so once you start doing courses like these, like, you know, the universal laws that we did before, and now the KYBALION, which comes, you know, which came even before the universal laws, and everything is derived from there. Now you understand the roots of the principles and now you could see your life and pinpoint each principle. You know, you could say, oh my God, that was the law of gender. And oh my God, that was cause and effect. It's true. I did think that thought, you know, oh my gosh, I thought that thought, look what happened, you know. So now you start like putting everything together. You understand that, okay, by the law of polarity, I get to choose my mood, you know. I can bring it back to good. Something can happen. Nothing is good or bad. Everything just is. So hold on, wait a minute. Let me just re-neutralize myself. Let me reframe. And so now you understand how to use your body as the instrument, because you have to remember, we are all spiritual beings living in a human experience. So your body is really just a tool.
It's a tool for you to operate. Your body is the instrument of your mind.
Is an instrument of your mind. So now you know how to operate your instrument, just like you know how to operate a TV, a radio, a car. But now we know how to operate our friggin' now that's the power of, you know, that's where the power is. And that's what the whole Hermetic principles derive from, is that they were masters. And how did they get to be masters? They practiced these laws all the time. I mean, they were instant manifestors. They were instant manifestors. I've become pretty damn good. There's things I can manifest within hours now that would take like months and days. And it only comes because of the being in the study.
Yeah.
You know, you have to have your disciplines, you know. No good athlete becomes a good athlete without the training and the practice. And so we must train our mind. The biggest thing that we must train is our mind to think in a certain way. That's why they say success is the result of thinking and doing things in a certain way. This is a certain way. Yeah. This is a certain way. This is applying working with universal laws to get what you want. And like the acorn that we always talk about, Carolyn and I, is that when you plant a seed in your mind and the seed is good, it will bring everything to you. You don't need to go chase it. It just fucking, like, it's served. And then by allowing, you allow it in. And life becomes really magical, and you realize that the world is your playground, and you realize that I'm not the mercy. You're not like in, like, you know, those ping pong tables. I don't know if you guys ever played those. I don't know what you call them, those tables with, like, you know, and the ball just goes all around. No, you're not that anymore. You know, you're aligned and you're straight and you're, you know,
and sometimes people's energy in your life experience, you know those people that are still ping ponging. They are still, you know, tick-tocking back and forth. And that's why those people are just so like, ugh, They're people that you repel from because it's not your real self. It's not who you are, and it's who they aren't even those persons, but that's the person that they are right now. But when we come into their energy and their space, it's like, whoa, I don't even want to be around that person because they're all chaotic. And those kind of people, it's like, I don't even want them in my energy field. I don't want them anywhere near me because they just don't serve me. I just don't like their energy. You make those choices too. You can't change that person. You can wish them well. You can send them love. You can hope that maybe they can get their chaos down into a place of order and calm. One of my favorite books, As a Man Thinketh, James Allen, Serenity, calm. A calm mind is the most powerful mind, right? Because you know how all the order works, and the universe is in beautiful order. It's not a chaotic place. We choose the thoughts that create the circumstances that put the chaos in our life. And some people are perpetually in that space. That's not somebody. If I have somebody walk into my environment that is that energy, first of all, I don't attract them very often because I'm not that energy. So I'm not attracting that vibration. But every once in a while, someone, falls through the cracks and I can see them a mile away. It's like, I just take a different street. I don't walk down the same street. The
chaos is only in your mind. The chaos is not in the world. It's in your mind. The chaos is in your mind, and that's why it shows up in your world. So I'm going to bring this to a close, Carolyn.
Yeah. Actually, I just want to mention our next level of study. Yeah, Pazit and I created something called the Mindset Mastery Book Study Club of the Unseen Laws, because we love this stuff and we love bringing it to anybody who wants to receive it. So we studied the 11 universal laws, as you know, and we're going to continue and go back to those, which will be our 7 a.m. club. We'll be still free in the morning. We're going to repeat, but we're going to do it in a month, okay? The 11 universal laws. We're going to go back to teaching that for anybody who wants to hop on board and learn. But on the 16th
of June,
it's stay in the study. But on the 16th of June.
I was going to say, guys, don't think because you've done it once that it's enough. These kind of things, you have to do them repetitively.
Yeah.
We study the laws every single day. It's been years now, and it's part of our discipline. It's part of our training. Okay. It's part of our mental training. So I just wanted to mention that. Go ahead, Carol.
It's true. And that's the thing. So we will keep that 7 a.m. club going for those 11 universal laws based on the book that we were studying. So you're welcome to come back to that. But the 8 a.m. club now, as of the 16th of June, will be the Mindset Mastery. It's a book study club on the unseen laws. So we're now going to study them every single week. It's a monthly membership. And we're going to start with the Master Key, which is the next book after this one.
Yeah, the Master Key is a follow. So it's like, everything. You can never finish studying, because it's always like different things. But every book gives you like a bit of a different perspective. And we picked the Master Key because obviously the KYBALION all speaks about the Master Key, and it dives like a little bit more deeper into certain principles. So there might be definitely things that you're going to hear there, that are going to make you click again. When you stay in the study, what are you doing really? You keep expanding your awareness. And on this call at this time, you heard what you heard and you received what you heard according to who you are when you showed up at this moment. When you will show up, tomorrow or in a few hours, you're already a different person. Every minute your awareness is different. And so sometimes you might be like, how come I didn't hear that before? And we're like, no, we said it. And you're like, no, but I never heard it before, because your awareness was not ready to receive that information. But at certain times you get different information and you hear different things, and you start putting all the pieces together.
Yeah, so the book club, the book study club, which we had to put out there for like pre-registration a few months ago. So we're going to put that into motion. And I guess we didn't, because we were really waiting to become aware of this new text. So we love this new text. And then we're going to do texts like The Science of Getting Rich that we will study, but we will read them together. We will go through the text together. Then we will come back to the group and we'll study the text. And I did this with 6 a.m. Club with Bob Proctor and that whole Proctor Gallagher group. It's still going on. It's an exceptional way of learning, a book and studying it and then exchanging ideas and asking questions. So you're not on your own now. We're doing this together. So that's going to be the 8 a.m. club. And so when I send out the recordings of all 4 of these calls, and apologies to the last 2, but I haven't really wanted to use the bandwidth here to be able to download my Zoom calls to YouTube. It's a big, big download. So when I get back next week, I will do that. I'll send it an email. So you have the recordings of the 4 of these, but you'll also have the page where you can sign up for the book study club, and we will get started on Sunday at 8 a.m. right after the 7 a.m. club on the 16th of June. And we hope to see you all there, because it's going to be another great study group.
Yeah. And so we want to thank you all of you.
I think Wendy, hang on just a sec, Pazit. Wendy, go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry, I just wanted to quickly say I thank you both for the KYBALION, because this particular writing and reading is so, it's something I've always felt. So this really resonated with me and brought home. So, you know.
And guess what? You've had results. You've changed your thinking, Wendy, because you've got different results than when you started.
Yeah, well, and like I said, it's always come back around. I wrote a poem years ago when I was a teenager called The Balance, and it pretty much was this stuff. And now I'm finally coming back around. I really needed this, and thank you. You're
welcome.
So much.
Well, thank you for being with us, and for sure. And it gives you confirmation that what you knew was real. You know what I mean? It gives you confirmation. Like I found for myself when I started to understand that we create our reality, I was like, am I crazy, or are they crazy? You know, like, who's crazy here? You know? But then you realize that no, you knew it all along. You knew it all along. You know?
Yeah. You were born with that. You came in before you were born with this awareness, but we get it kind of like it just gets sidetracked and pushed off, and that's not the way you think.
Yeah,
right?
Brushed off.
So here
for years I felt
so
that
you get confirmation.
I felt there was more than what other people were living and telling. So this, and now it's come back to me to say you were right. Here it is.
Here's
knew it in words. I knew. I always felt it. I always knew. And so now it's putting it in words, and it's bringing me back. So the pendulum is swinging back, and we're gonna neutralize it here.
Exactly.
That's right.
And now, and you have access to this text. So we've done our deep dive into it for 4 weeks, but keep reading it, keep studying it, keep going back to it. You're going to find parts of the text that you never saw before, and you're going to underline them where you'd never underlined them before, because you're different than you were the first time you read it. So keep reading it and keep studying it. And then we want to just keep adding more information, more text for different people, really resonate with different styles of teaching and writing. So we're going to introduce I think we've got about 8 books on our roster at this point that we want to do. It's just going to be ongoing. So it's like every single Sunday morning, we're going to continue till we finish a book. Then we're going to move on to a next book and move on. So some will be shorter, some will be longer. Most of them we have in PDF format. If we don't, we'll order one of the books, but the few at the beginning for sure we have PDFs for. So it's very easy. You get the download, and we just keep on studying together.
Absolutely. And that's the power of the mastermind. That's really the power of the mastermind, is that you power your mind, right? And you power your mind with this information, and then you go into the world, you feel different, you feel powerful, you're like, all right, you got my Superman suit, let's go create, let's go create. Let's
mastermind of us crazies who aren't crazy.
We're not. It's really a way of life. And I could tell you firsthand, you too, Wendy, you got it firsthand. I totally got it firsthand. And you can never go back once you understand the principles, and once you understand that life is such a safe place. It's such a safe place. It gives you such peace that even when disturbing things happen, like, don't think, Pazit's life is all rosy, she's in no, there's I still get challenges, but I laugh at them now, like, okay, let's play. Game on, guys, game on. And it's different. Before, when challenges would come, I'd be like, like
it would be debilitating. I mean, we can allow challenges to debilitate our life. And I mean, just think of what that does to us.
Exactly. Sleepless nights, sweats, nightmares. Now it's more like, game on, you got it. Okay, let's do it. What do you want to teach me, life? Let's go. Okay, let's have some fun, you know? And I know that the universe has my back, and I know that everything comes from source, and it's a conviction. And once you have that conviction, you become unstoppable. And this is what we want for all of you. We want you to become creators and become unstoppable and take this into the world and light as many other people that you can. And we would love to get also we're going to be asking for testimonies. We would love to get your testimonies on what you've accomplished, on the results that you got. We'll send that out as well. You know, we want you always stay in touch. Like we have the chat, so do keep us updated. Carolyn and I always read the chat, and we love to see how you guys are progressing. And do share with us, because when you share with the group, you teach other
everybody.
People. You're empowering everybody. That's the power of the mastermind. Like, oh my God, if Gabriella did it, well, so can I. If Pazit did it, so can I. If Carolyn did it, so can I. And then you realize, okay, if it's possible for them, it's possible for me. So, okay, I'm going to keep working at it. I'm going to stay disciplined. I'm going to stay on course. I'm going to, you know, we are the creators. There is no doubt, you know, you remove all the doubts, and now you have the strong belief, and you work on your muscle of belief. And when your muscle of belief is so strong, no one or no thing, I like that, not nothing, but no thing can shake you. So guys, I'm gonna wrap it up. I want to thank you all. We love teaching this, but what we love more is you know, learning it and studying it and understanding it and applying it and creating a richer life.
That's what's like that. We love
creating richer lives. Yeah, and go ahead and remember that you are the creator. Your mind is your workshop. The world is your playground, and that you can live your life the way you picture it to be. So think big, guys. Picture big. All right.
Everybody
Happy Sunday.
Marvelous Sunday. We'll talk to you all very soon.
Bye-bye.